Okay. Hey, how's it going, man? We got Gabriel here, another typology interview.
Hey, what's up, guys?
So I don't really know your type. I think you're SE Dom, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, I'm definitely OE Dom.
OE
Shannon
Dom.
said SE, and then Dave said I'm NE
Oh,
when he
really?
had typed me. Yeah, but Shannon went more in depth, so maybe Shannon is I'm leaning more towards Shannon being right.
Okay, cool. How do you did you start off in typology here, or you had a history in typology, or
God, no, I wish I did. So I've only been studying OPS probably for about, I want to say I'm going on my third month now.
right?
But before that, I had gotten into MBTI for about a year. So I really had to go through like an unbrainwashing is the joke
Right.
I make, that I had to like forget everything that I had learned about the MBTI and kind of just start fresh with the actual like stuff that is useful with OPS, which is why I become such a like an addict of OPS. I just spend the entire day consuming it.
But I understand you also maybe consume last.
Correct, yeah.
So then how does that work?
So the way that Dave, because I definitely still consume because I'm OE.
Right.
Um, but the way that it comes out is it very very sloppy. And so from my type, I am both my demon and my third function are double activated. So I'm only single activated SE and single activated FI. And
Right.
so yeah, what was the question? How does consume play out
Yeah, how
for
do you
me?
consume? Yeah.
Like I said, the way that Dave described it, because Dave, if I remember correctly, he said that he is also consumed last. Is that
Yep,
it's a
he
very
is.
sloppy. It's a very sloppy form of consuming. So I'll consume, but I never really go back and actually organize the information. So I'm just consuming for consuming's sake. Um,
Okay, so
yeah.
but that sounds like you're consuming and then you're not sleeping then, or you're not doing your OI, but like you're still consuming.
Correct. Yeah. Which is one of the things Shannon, when she typed me consume last, I'm still not 100% like sold on that. Initially I thought I was sleep last because I've always been like go go go, and it's really hard for me to like
Right.
sit back. And when she was typing me, she did mention, she's like, you definitely have to make sure that you take time to sleep energy to make sure that you're processing. Like she asked me at one point during the call, she's like, how often do you like go for walks by yourself and like drive by yourself? And I'm like, yeah, never. I, it hasn't even occurred to me like to actually
Right.
do that at some point.
Yeah, so that does sounds like a lot of that sounds like sleep last then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that consume then. Like you were consuming for 3 months straight OP. Did you watch all the videos? Do you watch them from start to finish? Do you sort of like just jump around in them?
So I speak in like in massive hyperbole. So when I say I spend the whole day consuming, like it was more so like the first week of the class that I signed up, I consumed, and then I dropped it for like a whole entire month and a half. And then I go like on another binge where I start consuming again because I'm like trying to figure this new problem out that I'm having, and then
Right.
kind of drop it again. So I go through cycles of like dropping it and picking it up, as I'm sure a lot of people do with
And what
MBTI
about
stuff.
like watching YouTube videos or reading books or stuff like that throughout your life?
Yeah, I spend the majority of my day is probably, and it's, I guess this is kind of a good example of how my consume comes out, where I'll spend my day watching YouTube videos, but I can never finish a YouTube video. Like I'll watch half of a
Oh,
YouTube video and I'll assume, I guess that's where my play fast comes in. I'll assume I got all the information because I kind of like piece together what I think is going to happen. And
right.
then after that, I kind of just go on to the next video. And it's like the recommended list on my YouTube is like the worst. It's like one of my Achilles heel because it always
Okay.
like ends up screwing me over when I'm trying to get something done.
So like, do you click off of it because you're interested in something else,
Yeah,
and this
like
is sort of getting old?
yeah. So the way that it
Yeah.
goes is I'll start watching the video, and instantly as the video is playing, I'll go to the comments and I'll start reading the comments, and then as I'm
Uh-huh.
scrolling back up to go to the title, a new video will catch my interest, and then I'll start
Right.
watching that
And
usually.
what about when you're like talking to people? Is it hard for you to listen to them for long periods of time? Like if they're just going on and on?
So it could just be me peacocking, but I think I'm generally a really really good listener. It
Right.
depends kind of like in the mood that I'm in. Like if I'm in a really bad headspace, like I've either been depressed or I'm like in a bad mood, angry. Generally, I'll become super passive aggressive and I'll be like, I don't want to listen to anybody, like get out of my face. But generally, if I'm in a good headspace, I'm like, I love listening to people, and that's one of the things that I like when I go out. I just love gathering new people's insights and figuring out like, oh, it almost comes off a bit too pushy at times because like I'll start probing, and like I'm not very surface level, I guess you can say, and I really don't like talking about the base level stuff like how's your day, those boring things. I want to figure out like what are you going after, what dreams are you trying to pursue, like where in your life do you need help that I can kind of play blast help you out and give you information that I've already gathered
Right.
myself. So
what about if you're having a good conversation with someone? Do you end up talking over them? Do they end up talking over you? Like, is there a competition to speak? Does that happen every so often?
no, I'm feminine TE,
Okay.
and generally when I am talking to somebody, I let them talk a lot of times. Like I'll wait for my turn to talk, and then if they start talking as I'm about to talk, I'll stop again and I'll let them
Oh, okay.
continue to kind of get their point across.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Um, and okay. So then, how do you see play turn out in your life? Is that basically what that is?
Yeah, it's when I actually, because I've been trying to for the last, I suck at time frames, but maybe for the last couple of months, I've been trying to like focus more on becoming, professional and like getting my business off of the ground, those kinds of things. So I haven't really been going out and socializing as much. But when I do socialize with people, I notice myself, it's like it's a general. I want to get everybody involved and try to figure out where everybody plays in the group. Like when I
Hmm.
went recently, I'm really into longboarding. Like I have my longboard right next to me charging.
Okay.
It's the electric ones with the
Electric one.
control. Yeah. I go. I have a group that I go with, and whenever we meet up at the bar and stuff, I love like talking and interacting with everybody and trying. Like if I notice this one introvert isn't talking to people, I'll kind of like go more one on one with him for a little bit to try to get him to out of his shell kind of thing, and then I'll kind of
Right.
go back to the group and
Uh-huh.
rendezvous with them.
Um, do you do you how does that is that always been like that, or have you always been like really comfortable around people, really comfortable?
No, I actually it's
No.
weird because I identify as somebody that has like really really bad social anxiety, but I
Hmm.
think it's more so somewhere at some point in time. You know how like Tony Robbins talks about this a lot about how they have like excitement and anxiety. Like I was anxious before this interview, but I just remind myself, no, it's just excitement. It's just excitement because like anxiety and excitement kind of come up in the body as in the same form.
I see.
So generally, I've always been. I when I was a kid, I was very quiet, but I think it's more so because I just didn't resonate with my family all that much. Like the people that I was hanging around, they were talking about things that I didn't care about, and then if
Mm.
something sparked my interest, then I would become the clown and start making everybody feel good and everybody laugh. But generally, people consider me an introvert a lot of times.
Right. And what about energy dom versus info dom? Where do you see yourself on
Um,
that spectrum?
so as far as that goes, I haven't like I thought I was information dominant, but I haven't done a
Right.
whole lot of research on that, so I don't really have like a fully formulated, articulated opinion on that just
Yeah.
yet.
Do you see yourself spending a lot of energy for other people all the time?
Yeah, that's kind of like my. Is that where the energy dominant would come
No,
in?
that's not where it
No.
comes in. That's just part of it. That's a half of it.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because that's definitely something that I struggle with. In that, like, I was actually even talking to somebody in the group in the Facebook group. I can't remember her name now. We were talking about how like we prefer a lot of times to be alone because when I get involved with the group, my own personal values kind of go out of the window, and like it doesn't matter what I want. It's whatever everybody else wants. To the point where it's
Mm.
almost impossible for me. Like if the whole group wants to do something and I want to do something, unless I'm like in the grip of my demon function, majority of the time I'll end up going
Yeah.
with what the group wants. And
Yeah,
then
you're talking about your FI a lot there, like what you want, what you like.
right,
Also, if you're not interested in the conversation, you didn't care about it when you were little, things like that. That's
right,
all
yeah,
high stuff. Yeah, yeah. But
cool.
what about seeing how your energy levels fluctuate throughout the day? Are you conscious of that all the time? Are you always trying to preserve your energy, always focused on that kind of thing, or it's just at the back of your mind, or you don't even care about it?
Yeah, I don't really pay too much attention to how much energy I'm putting out. Yeah, majority of my day is really spent like absorbing information, like watching YouTube videos, or
Uh,
I'm taking a course on digital marketing now, so I'll end up I have like a little Google Keep thing where I'll try to at least absorb like 2 or 3 videos from the module to make sure I'm learning new things throughout my day.
right. Okay. And so I see that TE and the FI balance there already.
Okay.
Your FI should be masculine. So like, do you see that if something's going against a value that you won't move? If you don't care about
Yeah, and
something, you just won't care. Doesn't
yeah,
matter how.
it affects my relationships with my family a lot because like
Okay.
if I'll be hanging around with my brother and my mom, now as I've gotten older, I kind of just let whatever my mom wants to do. It's ultimately what my mom wants because I just want to make her happy. She's getting older, and I just want her to have a good time. But generally, if it's I don't really know how to articulate it, but if something were to poke, I guess you could say my FI, and I get pissed off, then yeah, I'm holding my ground. And there's no like I've always been considered hard headed in my family in
Right.
that sense. So if I end up becoming
When you get
um,
cornered.
exactly. Yeah. If I get cornered into something, then I would end up being like, no, this is what I want to do. Sorry. Like, it doesn't matter what you want. I want to do this. So therefore
Right.
that.
And what about values, like knowing what's more important than what in your life?
Um, Give me an example of like two things to compare and contrast.
Like you were talking about webcams. So like which webcam is more valuable to you, or
Yeah, it doesn't really matter what's valuable to me. I'll kind of go on YouTube and I'll watch reviews of the product, and then I'll go to the comments, see what everybody. I guess that's where my TE comes in. I'll go see
right.
what are the reasons for everybody else grabbing this camera, and then reviews, and then from there I'll kind of decide what's the general consensus of what everyone agrees is like the best.
So what are some things that you really like, that sort of represent you? What are some of your tastes?
Oh, that's one of the hard ones, man, because, and Shannon even mentioned this, like my identity is very, very, very difficult to put, like to articulate. You said things that I
Your
enjoy.
taste. Yeah, like your taste. What are your tastes? You have tastes in movies and music.
Yeah, like music is like things that remind me of my childhood, like punk rock. I'm huge on punk rock. I'm wearing a Three Doors Down T-shirt.
Right.
Those kinds of things. As far as movies go, not really a big movies person. Like I love watching movies, but I never really remember the stuff from. Like people ask me like, "Oh, you remember this part of the movie?" I'm like, no. Can you describe it further? I need more information to kind of figure out what they're talking about a lot of times.
Right. What about what's that poster that you have behind you? The painting.
Oh, that's
thing.
Naruto. Kakashi.
Naruto. So like,
Yeah.
is that also something that's close to your identity? It's like something you like.
I guess, yeah. I liked the
Yeah.
show, and I really resonated with Kakashi, so I really like the
And if someone was to say that like they didn't like the show, are you no longer friends, or you don't really care?
Not necessarily. I won't be friends with them. Trying to think. I don't think I've ever met somebody that didn't like Naruto. So I don't know how they would respond.
Right. Yeah, I'm just trying to see how maybe stubborn that FI would be. Have you changed your taste? Like, have you thrown things out that you used to like and you no longer like, or that doesn't happen?
Yeah. I guess I have like I was big into video games, and I kind of dropped video games because I realized I wasn't going to be, it was like I get very obsessed with certain things. So a lot of times when I would get into the video games, every other routine that I had is just like sideswiped and it's out of the window. There's no getting back into the old routine. So I ended up dropping video games because I realized it was an unhealthy habit in my life. But I generally, when I was playing back when I was a kid, I loved the shit out of it. And then I've kind of moved away from that identity, and I'm kind of like recreating myself as an entrepreneur and trying to kind of be a businessman, somebody that's like actually professional and trying to be successful.
So do you see yourself as that, or is that something you want to become, or how does that work?
I consider myself an aspiring entrepreneur. Like I haven't made it yet, obviously. I'm still in that working stages. But yeah, I consider at this point, it was hard. Like it took a while for me to kind of like put my foot down and be like, I'm an aspiring entrepreneur, because I felt it was embarrassing. I was like, oh, what's the tribe going to think about this? People are going to think oh, here comes another entrepreneur. And then I was like, so I didn't really associate with that. But as I've, moved away from the tribe more towards identity and more towards myself, I've kind of put the flag down. I was like, all right, I'm an aspiring entrepreneur. This is what I'm going to work towards.
Sorry, something just fell.
No, you're good. You're fine.
So all right.
By the way, this is really weird. I'm usually the one interviewing, so it feels really weird being on the other side.
So tell me about that. What do you mean interviewing? Like just in conversations, you mean?
Yeah, like when I'm talking to people, I've always said, like, in a very joking manner, people are naturally very narcissistic. So people love talking about themselves.
Right.
And I never had a problem with that because I love talking about other people. Rarely, like, if you go out to a bar and stuff, rarely do you meet somebody that actually knows how to have a conversation, like, properly. Like, they're not very good at the ebb and flow of conversations. A lot of time it's more so I'll be the one probing them, asking them questions to trying to get the conversation to continue. So I guess, more people are more introverted in that sense.
Right. So that's like a huge play thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just like a little side note, I had to learn to do that. Like this wasn't natural. I was just wondering.
Oh, really? Well, you're good at it. Yeah. That's why I'm like, oh God, I don't like being on this side of it.
Right. Yeah. But like, is this something for you that you had to learn to do, or is it something that was just natural for you?
I wouldn't say I had to learn. I'd say I'm still learning how to do it. Yeah, it's one of the harder things for me to be on this side of the receiving end and giving the.
Oh, no, I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, like asking questions and interviewing people. Is that something that you learned to do, or it's just natural for you?
Oh no, yeah, that part is supernatural for me.
Oh,
Like,
really? Okay.
yeah, interviewing people and getting to know them and trying to figure out like what it is that they're going after. Those kinds of things, it comes like second nature for me. The hard part is when it's turned on me, then I get uncomfortable. I'm like, oh God, my identity, my I guess that's where my sleep freak out happens.
Right, right, because it's unprocessed, I guess, as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's one of the things that I see a lot when I'm interviewing people. Like I ask questions that are unprocessed, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to go think about that." So it
Right.
stimulates some of their sleep process, which is,
Okay.
it's
And I
flattering.
definitely need more of that. That's actually one of the things when Shannon told me to sleep energy more, I've been trying, but it's like really hard. It's like I feel a part of me is like that's not productive at all. Like what am I getting out of this? Like there's no point
Oh,
in doing this kind of thing.
right.
But I'm taking their. I've noticed for a lot of things that they've said is like pretty accurate. So I'm kind of taking everything they say. They say watch motivational videos every morning. So I'm watching right now. I have behind me Joe Rogan's motivational video. So
Okay,
whatever
cool.
they say kind of goes, kind of thing.
Right. Um, what about I'm still trying to gauge your SE and I axis or NESI axis.
Okay.
Did you have trouble in school at all? Because of,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, school for me was and it's really hard for me to recall my past in that sense because school was such like a shit show for me when am I allowed to curse?
Why not? Yeah, I'm not
Okay, cool.
monetized. You're good.
All right. Cool. Yeah, school was a shit show for me. A lot of times it was like I knew I was smart, and I've always been a fairly articulated person when I wanted to be if it was things that interested me, which I guess is where my FI would play out. But the teachers just like the moment somebody disregards me and like brushes me off as like a stupid person, like I'll play that out in an extreme sense. I'll be like, okay, you think I'm stupid, so that's like the person that I'm going to be. And I did that a lot when I was younger in school. So a lot of times I would end up sleeping in class. I never did my homework. The
Hmm.
start of senior year, I had like I don't know how familiar you are with the GPA system. I'm not sure how Israel works, but they have this thing, the GPA, for like it's just a certain percentage of grades that you need to have in school in order to graduate. And I had like a 0.8, and you needed like a 2.0 to graduate.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
senior year is like I realized, oh crap, I'm not going to graduate, so I kind of put myself in overdrive. And that year, I turned my 0.8 into like a 2.7, so I ended
Oh,
up
nice.
graduating. Yeah,
Okay.
fortunately.
Unfortunately, you graduated.
No, fortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah. D- um, so like, were there courses that you liked better that were harder for you to understand, or?
I, as far as I remember, I really liked math, and it
Right.
was primarily because I was getting the. And this is actually a really interesting story. So the first part of my year with algebra, I did amazing. Like my teacher was giving me the validation that I wanted. I guess he was
I
feeding
see.
my TE because I would go around. I was like the teacher's pet, so I would end up everybody in the class. It was the only class I had an A in. And I
Right.
would go around the class and I would teach everybody because I was already done with my assignments within like 5 or 10 minutes. So I would go to class and help every other kid with the assignment, trying to make them understand the formulas. And then halfway through the year, the teacher, I was very overweight when I was a kid, so I had like a really really bad double chin.
Okay.
And my teacher, he was teaching like the circumference of something. So he puts a picture of my ID on the projector of the wall, and he goes to the class. All right, guys, we're gonna measure Gabriel's circumference of his first face, and then of the face with the double chin. And then from that day forward, since he made fun of me, like I ended up the last half of my algebra, I think I got like a D or something. I ended up
Oh,
saying, you know
really?
what?
That
Yeah,
went bad for you.
yeah, like
Wow.
because I was super insecure about my weight at the time. So
Oh,
he made
wow.
fun of the double chin, and after that, I was like, screw this teacher. He's a POS. I'm never gonna do good in this
Really?
class again. Yeah.
Wow.
So
So like that's a little single decidery sort of thing. Like you,
yeah, that's
yeah.
actually what because Shannon said. I have a lot of the EP freakouts and a lot of the EJ freakouts because of the fact that my last two. I'm a glass lizard, I guess is what they call it. My
Right.
last two functions are activated, so a lot of times I end up having freakouts both for the EJ and the EP. It just turns out that like I guess it's a fraction of a bit better because it's not as intense as for everybody else that it's happening to. All the
So what kind of
freakouts.
EP freakouts do you have?
So the last week or so, I actually started buying gold and silver because I thought I
Uh,
started watching videos about how the Federal Reserve it's a private corporation here in the United States, and what the United States did with the not backing the U.S. dollar with gold, and when they took it off the gold standard, those kinds of things. I started freaking out because I was like, oh crap, the economy's going to collapse, everything's going to go to shit. It's going to be like The Walking Dead in this fucking
right.
in the whole world. So I started planning ahead, and like I invested in some gold. So I guess that's an EP freak out where I started thinking like the world's going to end kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm also at the same time thinking, like, if the market crashes, is it good to buy gold or not?
I mean, that's a general consensus. Yeah, that it's
It
actually a
is.
really good idea. Yeah, because like if the U.S. dollar collapses, the gold has throughout history always been flatline. It's always been good. Every other fiat currency, which I'm not sure how familiar you are with economics, the fiat currency is basically fake money. All that it's never worked out in the history of all civilization, as far as we know.
Right.
And yeah.
Okay. And so is that like, that's like a standard kind of freak out that happens as an EP? Like, did you have other kinds of freakouts when you were a kid about that?
Um, so hard. Like
What about
things from my
freedom being
past.
controlled?
Yeah. I have a theory that my mom's an IJ. Because
Mm,
she'll call me a lot of times, and the way that I plan my days, I try to make some sort of like a structure, but generally it's not structured at all. Like whatever kind of pops into my head is what I'm going to be doing that day for the rest of the day. And my mom calls me a lot of times and she starts going, "Hey, did you do this? Did you do this? All right, now go do this and this." And she starts listing things that I got to do. I'm like, "Stop. You're planning my future ahead. I don't like that. Stop doing that right now. You're pissing me off." And I end up a lot of times freaking out and blowing up on her because I think she's trying to control me. When in reality,
yeah.
she's not. She's just, being a mother and doing what moms do a lot of
Right.
times.
Do you think it's because you feel like she's trying to control you, or because your consume is low and she's just overwhelming you?
Um, that's a good question. I assumed initially that it was because I am an EP and she's trying to control me, and like in the moment it feels as if she's trying to control me. Like that's
Right.
kind of like
Okay.
what the general body, like my body gets tight and I'm like, "Stop doing that." Like I'm telling you,
Mm,
it's gotten to the point where I told her, I was like, "I'm literally going to disown you as a mother and I'm never going to speak to you again if you don't stop doing that," because it's like it affects me that much. Like it really, really, and the rest of my day I end up being pissed because of the fact that it occurred. So it's gotten to the point where I'll talk to her like once a week or once every other week, just so that she
mm.
doesn't have that effect on me.
Yeah, I'm a little thrown by what your teacher did to you, because like I laughed at that because it's kind of the way you told it too is kind of
Yeah,
comedic,
it
right?
was it was he didn't mean any. He was just being a harmless joke. It was more
Right.
so the amount of insecurity that I had towards my body that was what caused a lot of the issues with it. And
Yeah.
I ended up losing. I was like at that year I think I was about like 260 or 270 pounds. So I was a really, really big dude. That year towards it was ended up being good because when he made fun of me, I ended up losing like 90 pounds.
Oh,
So
okay.
it ended up working out for me. But it was more so I was so focused on the fitness and losing weight, school kind of took a backseat
Right.
as far as importance goes.
I had a question, but I
Yeah,
forgot.
that's cool.
Um,
It'll come back to you eventually.
yeah, yeah.
What is your type?
ISTP.
You're an ISTP.
Yeah,
Okay,
TISE. Yeah.
TISC. Okay, so you're lead. So you're a single decider,
Right.
double
That's right. Yeah,
observer.
yeah.
Okay, I'm curious how does that play out for you? The
Oh wow. Yeah, this is a long chain of questioning here. Um, we'll talk after the interview a little bit.
Okay, all right, no problem.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
I'm genuinely curious because like I understand how my thing works out more or less, but I want to learn more about it. That's why I was watching. I didn't know you did interviews. Actually, when you messaged me, I was like, "Who is this guy messaging me?" I have no idea who he is. And then I found out, oh, he works together with Kendrick because I've watched a lot of Kendrick's interviews.
Right.
And
Yeah,
that's kind
yeah.
of where I learned where
Okay,
your videos
you
come from.
learn more from Kendrick. Okay, interesting. Yeah, yeah, because
Not that
he
I
does
learned
have
more
more
from
of
him.
a
I didn't come across your videos. I haven't
right.
come
Yeah, he has
across them
more of
at
a
the time.
TE approach to stuff as well, so it might be resonate more with you as well.
No, it's not even that at all. Like I didn't come across your videos at all. Like I
Oh,
hadn't seen them because I'm new to the group. I
right.
just recently joined the group. I didn't know there was a group until like maybe about a week and a half ago or so.
Oh well. Okay. Welcome. Anyways. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm plugging in my charger.
Um. Cool, man. So tell me about how you. Okay. Oh, that's what it was. So your SE is masculine? Did they give it masculine?
Yeah, let me pull up the list actually. She gave me like a whole document that had my type laid out. So I am. Bring it to my second one.
MF, I guess, is what you said.
Yeah, I'm exactly. Yeah, I'm MF.
Okay, so audio.
So I'm masculine SE and masculine FI with feminine TE and feminine
Yeah.
NI, double activated TE and NI.
Yeah. Tell me how you see truth.
How I see truth.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm gonna give you like a textbook like TE answer of like
Sure.
I kind of whatever other people see as truth is kind of like I have when I'm talking politics. I have a friend who I believe is an ENTP. When I'm talking politics with him, A lot of times it's more so like I can see a lot like two sides to everything. Whenever people are arguing, like the left and the right, how they're arguing now in politics nowadays, it's like gotten really, really intense, especially here in the United States. Generally, I can see where both sides are coming from in terms of it being right or wrong. And both sides have obviously pros and cons to them.
So okay.
So it's very subjective for me.
Yeah. That makes sense. But you were talking about right and wrong, right?
Right.
So what about truth? What's truth?
So as far as you talking about like logic, like what's the I don't really have an answer for truth. Like truth for me is like facts, like, you know, the sky is blue, those kinds of things. That's 100% certain. It's not, there's no gray area in truth, I guess you could say, where there's gray area in a lot of different, you know, things that we're arguing nowadays.
What about ideas come to you? Do you get like a lot of ideas all the time? Are you trying to swat them away? Is your mind always wandering?
So I actually take Adderall now, and I don't know if that's had an effect on my on the way that my functions play out, which is why it's weird that before, like, Dave was watching my videos beforehand and he got any, and then as I've been taking the Adderall, I only started it maybe about a month and a half ago to 2 months ago. I noticed like my ability to produce ideas has gone down tremendously. My creativity has gone down tremendously, but it's given me more of like that SI structure in my life that I needed in a lot of ways. So beforehand, I had like, I would change business models like every other month because I was like discovering a new thing that I can do. Like I initially started my YouTube channel for life coaching, and then I transitioned over to I started up a pet store online, like a pet shop with like, you know, hats that had dogs on them, because people that love dogs are like dog fanatics, even though I don't give a crap about dogs. And then went to like selling CBD oil, and then transitioned to fixing cell phones, and then now I'm finally landed on digital marketing, and I'm forcing myself to do digital marketing for the next 2 years rather than switching every other month.
What about organizing your room, tidying?
It's a mess. It's horrible. Well, it's terrible. I was embarrassed. So I have all sorts of shit under my bed, but I covered it with a blanket so it wouldn't look bad for the interview.
That's like, see, that's something like even SI DOMs. You ask them about how's your stuff organized, and everything looks perfect, and like it's a mess. Yeah. Look, this book is in the wrong place. Like, it's all relative, right? So like,
go ahead.
Yeah. So, but like, what about organizing your room, organizing the sensory? Can you do it? Do you like doing it? Do you feel responsible to do it?
I wouldn't say I feel responsible to do it. I notice like and I don't know if this is just like a personality type thing, or if it's just everyone has that, where when my room is organized and I have some sort of structure, I feel better. Like I feel like I can actually organize myself better and do everything. But then within like 3 or 4 days, it's all back to chaos again. Like it's so hard for me to actually keep it organized. But again, you just said I could be doing that peacocking thing that every personality type has, where like I'm so unorganized, and meanwhile you have everything like labeled and structured out.
Is that something that you've struggled with, your scheduling, sticking to a routine?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's one of my downfalls. Since I was a little kid, it's always been like that. And it's funny because my mom, I used to like, one memory that comes up now is like when I was a kid, my mom would tell me to go grab something, and I'll walk into the room and be like, it's not here, and I'll leave, and then she'll end up coming into the room and be like, look, it's exactly where you had looked initially, but you just didn't want to find it. And I'm like, oh shit, it was like my shoes or something on the floor.
Mm-hmm. What about like being on top of paying your bills, renewing your license, things like that?
If I don't have it in like I have a notepad where I have all my bills for the month. If I don't have it in that, then I will 100% forget it. And a lot of times that's very recent. That list that I have is very recent that I discovered. As I started taking the Adderall, I noticed I started like, I have a grocery list now. Like I had never done this ever. I have a grocery list now with all the aisles. So when I go to the store, I have the aisles. I can just go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 through all the aisles and grab everything. Whereas before I would end up spending like 2.5 hours in the store, because I've always been very like ADD brain, and I would go like to aisle 14, then aisle 7, be like, oh, I need steak. Let's go back to aisle 9, and it was just like total chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Do you edit this afterwards?
No, I don't, and it's.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, yeah.
No, you're fine. I was gonna say, can I grab water real quick? It's literally right there.
Yeah, sure.
Grab water for a second.
I'll pause it. We're back after a little water break. So I am seeing the NE actually. Like
Okay.
I'm seeing the NE over SE.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. And I didn't see you use much language that would indicate your NE or SE. Like normally people give a lot of lingual cues over which one they are.
Okay.
And I didn't notice many of those.
Okay.
So anyways, take it with a grain of salt.
Interesting.
But like it's also very classic for any dominance to do that, to be like all over the place, always thinking of something new ideas. And it sounds like that Adderall has sort of mediated that and maybe helped you get on.
That was the theory that I had as to why Shannon typed me as an SE over an NE. Because everybody
Right.
else, the girl that initially introduced me to the MBTI, Ian said I was ENTP. I was like typical ENTP. If you watch my old videos, I've always been all over
Right.
the place. I never planned my videos until I started taking Adderall. Like the Adderall,
Right.
in a positive sense, it's really helped me a lot because it's made me stick to that one business plan. It's made me plan out my days somewhat with a calendar. It's made me have a
Right.
grocery list, made me pay my bills on time because of the systems that I've been able to develop.
And that would put you also as a very close relative to Kendrick. Like Kendrick is MF as
That's what
well.
he said. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, did he also think you were any Dom?
He no, I don't think he gave me any theories as far as like what he thinks I was. Maybe he did, I don't remember. But he said when he initially emailed back and forth, he said like, oh, we're very, because I gave him what Dave thought I was, which
Right.
was the MFNETE. He's like, oh, we're very similar types, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, interesting. But then Shannon came out with the second typing.
Right. That's interesting that they disagreed on that though. So
Yeah.
that's good, a piece of information. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna do another call with him to kind of get more clarity on that because I
Right.
noticed
Yeah.
with the calls that I had, Dave's call was more so focused on like my own issues, things that I was struggling with, versus like the typing. Shannon's was purely like, all right, let's go ahead and let's dive in, and she spent like a couple hours watching my videos, I guess, and trying to
Right.
figure out pin down my type.
Yeah. Well, it's really important too, so you know what that struggle is in the end, like that major struggle you have. Is it the
Yeah,
SI
and
or the NI?
yeah, she said it was gonna be it's gonna be heavily my identity,
Your
which
identity.
yeah, like as far as like my life's mission, like trying
Right.
to figure out where to go, trying to simulate a future that I actually want to go towards. That's like one of the harder things, I guess.
Right. Well, see, that's also thinking that you have NI is simulating that future, right? That's going
Right.
to be the hardest. But if you don't
Yeah.
have NI, you actually have SI. So then you're that's not going to be your problem. Your problem is going to be
Right.
sticking to whatever possibility you've chosen,
Right.
which I see that more as maybe your struggle is like you have all these options, all these possibilities, you just won't stick with one.
Right.
Sounds
One
like
thing that
more.
comes up is like how much of this is me just saying that it is, and then because like they say we're our personalities are always like we don't really see reality. We don't see ourselves as we actually are. We see ourselves as we want to see ourselves. So I don't
Right.
know how much of it is like me saying these things, and then in real life it's actually not playing out like that at all. Those are the kind
Yeah.
of things that like I wonder as well when
Right.
I'm trying to like figure out my type.
Yeah. And I'm still trying to pick up some language that you might be using to identify if you're SE or NE, but like I'm not getting it. I'm not getting that language. What kind of are you interested in, like conspiracy theories or things like that?
Not unless they affect me in some way. Um,
Aliens?
I mean, I think that to some degree that there may be aliens in the world, but it's not like the way I see it is like unless it's affecting my day to day, I'm not really going to worry about it.
Uh-huh.
That's generally how I treat those things, and
Right.
I try not to get sucked into them.
Do you okay. Anyway,
Which
interesting.
I know the typical Eddie Bravo
Right,
ENTP
yeah.
types end up getting obsessed with that stuff, but no, that stuff doesn't really resonate with me all that much. Like Eddie talks a lot about how like there's these like the global elites and stuff. Those kinds of things freak me out. So I guess
Yeah.
that's where an EP freak out.
Right.
But I haven't really done a deep dive into learning about it. I just go, oh fuck, what if there actually is some like global elites that are just like master puppeteers that are actually controlling us, and what if the current economic system is causing us all to be slaves, which I actually do see to some degree. I
Right.
haven't fact checked this, so I guess that's kind of where the OE versus the OI comes in, the extreme. But I do worry about that consistency. So I guess maybe that would
Yeah.
be one example of it.
Yeah, and it's also a source of control as well, so that makes sense.
Exactly, yeah. And that's very big no-no for me.
Right,
I
yeah.
hate being controlled.
Cool. And
But then
also
again,
that
does any type like being controlled? Is there a type?
so some, I don't think anyone likes being controlled, but some mind it more than others. Like
Okay,
some
so it
fear.
triggers
It
our
trigger, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
gotcha.
And that's also, I guess, a thing where being interviewed might make you feel uncomfortable because then the control is really in the interviewer.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. Right. Anyways, interesting. Do you want to talk about your YouTube channel a little bit to give a little promo before we sign off?
Yeah, sure. So my YouTube channel is Dr. Scream. The website for me is screamdigital.net. That's scream as in like yell. Yeah, it's just a digital marketing YouTube channel. I talk about all different marketing concepts and trying to figure out how to apply these concepts to real life businesses, those kinds of things.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll put a link in the description. And do you have a business as well in digital marketing that people can reach
Yeah,
out
the
to you?
screamdigital.net.
Okay,
That's
cool.
the digital marketing agency, and then I have the
Right.
YouTube channel. It's just Dr. Scream.
Right. And are you going to keep eating away your giveaways or?
Maybe. You saw that video. It's funny because that part wasn't even planned. I thought I got the idea in the end. I was like, I'm just gonna do that for the hell of it. I'm bored.
Right. Yeah.
So I ended up adding that to the video.
Yes, it was funny. Anyways. Okay. Thanks
Thank
a
you,
lot,
man. I
Gabriel,
appreciate
man.
it. No problem, man. Thank you for having me, brother.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say before we sign off? Any advice you have to someone of your type or?
Stick to something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just stick to something a little bit longer than when you get bored of it. That's what I'm trying to do. Because I haven't gotten bored of the marketing yet, but I know in a couple months I'm going to be bored of it. And then that's when I have to put like the actual force myself to stick to it. So definitely sticking with things.
Yeah. Good luck with that, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. So I definitely want to hear about your side of it once you end the video.
For sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, have a good
tuning
one.
in, guys. All right.